how many of these questions are basically the distribution model just isn't working? Compared to Ubuntu, right, where it's like, well, new LibreOffice, I guess I have to wait 6 months. Did you have that grid of all the distros, you know, the green one?
Yeah.
Green and red, and they're always red, and we think this is a good idea. No. If we switch this, Bluefin would be perfect. And I was like, you know what's also perfect? Not messing with it. User centralization is actually very useful for adoption. Are these the future or not? I was like, no, I'm just trying to get us to 2015 still, you know?
I'm here with Jorge Castro of Universal Blue and Project Bluefin. And this is, I'm really happy to have him on the show. We're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff that he's involved in. Of course, Project Bluefin and Universal Blue. But Jorge and I are at KubeCon right now. And this has been a really fun time. This is the first time I've ever been at KubeCon. So we're going to talk about that as well. But Jorge, will you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, I'm Jorge Castro. I'm a maintainer of Project Bluefin and working on Aurora and Bazzite, collectively known as Universal Blue, I guess.
Yeah.
So we'll get into the labeling and the words.
Well, we might as well just jump into that. So what exactly is Universal Blue?
Yeah, so Universal Blue is a set of operating systems images based off of technology called bootc, which Red Hat donated to the CNCF, which holds events like KubeCon and Cloud Native Con. So I started a project around it, thought it was pretty cool, and then other people thought it was cool, and then next thing I know, I had an open source project. And and here we are 4 years this summer.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, we're on year 5, I guess.
I think the first time I heard about Universal Blue was Bluefin and Bazzite were in that space. But it was interesting to see, you know, like all the people who are getting involved in it. And it also is more like, it's much bigger than it seems out from the side, because it's not just a single project. It's multiple projects combined in like a collective.
Yeah, it is. And I tend to be the public face, but actually I'm not the technical guy, right? I don't lead a lot of direction. You know, the way we do open source here in Cloud Native is a certain kind of culture. Right? Mm-hmm. And it's like you lead by just working, you know, and whoever happens to be working leads that part of the project. So the technical direction, I think we've set for a long time. We went GA, which is, is that a term you're familiar with?
General availability. Yeah.
So we went GA a few years ago. So mostly a lot of the stuff we're doing is iteration and things like that, except for Bazzite, which is, you know, feature driven. A new handheld comes out, Bazzite has to do a bunch of stuff, right? And I get to be lazier. I guess I should have brought my metrics, but you know, I'll give you the stats on the contributors and all that stuff. But we could talk about the metrics and the stuff in a bit. But yeah, the community's growing. Got about 40,000 live weekly devices. About 35K of those are Bazzite, and the rest Aurora and Bluefin pretty much.
So
split.
I do want to talk about that in a sense. So the 40,000 is all Universal Blue.
Yes. Yeah. All of our.
So first of all, that's awesome for many reasons, but like, you know, I like the idea of like having the information, and like that's a huge number, but also having the number in the first place is rare.
I put it in the front. It drives me. I don't understand why, you know, you're asking someone to use your stuff. I'm like, here are the people that, you know, you're going to depend on. And it's interesting because I think a lot of desktop Linux users have no clue on what the number looks like. And the closest I ever got to when I worked at Canonical, you know, is Ubuntu's in the millions and millions already.
Yeah.
Right. There's a forum thread where like, I'm really disappointed in the number of people using this stuff. And I was like, what number are you expecting? And they're like, I was expecting 300,000. I was like, okay, well, give me a few years.
Well, I think that's going to happen for sure.
Yeah.
And hopefully this video will help people, you know, check it out and everything like that.
Love it.
I think there's also one thing to talk about is that what makes Universal Blue stuff like Project Bluefin different from other types of operating systems that are Linux based.
Yeah. So most of it for me is building a modern Linux. Right. So I've been building operating systems like since I got into tech, over 20 years. A decade building Ubuntu, you know, and a lot of that was doing user support. If you recognize my face, you might have been on Ask Ubuntu, right? And I helped build that site. And at the time, it was the 3rd largest Stack Exchange.
Yeah.
And when Ubuntu did a release, it was amazing, right? So I was doing a ton of tech support.
Yeah.
So I knew the thing backwards and forwards. And back then it was very much professionalizing the help that Linux users gave to each other.
Yeah.
You know, and back then everything was stuck in forums. And what I loved about Stack Exchange is you can edit an answer.
That is
And
important.
and the community can edit an answer instead of, oh no, the incorrect thing is written on the internet forever.
Yeah.
And you'd get to a thread, you go to the bottom, you
And you
scroll
can-
to the bottom.
And you can also
Yeah.
edit someone else's answer and suggest it for a potential change that they can review and all that
Right,
stuff.
and there's a trust system so that,
Yeah.
like, you know, people aren't being bad.
Who gets to offer the correction is different in certain places, like
Right.
depending on which Stack Exchange and everything like that.
Yeah.
I actually had one of my questions. One of my answers was like really good, but it also wasn't like it had full of details. And
Yeah.
then someone came in and said from the company I was talking about came in and started giving like here's how you can like tweak this to make it better. I was like,
Yeah.
that is a better answer. Thanks. Makes me look like I know it like even more than I did. So
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. So I always kept using Linux, and I'd left Canonical to when I discovered this Kubernetes thing.
Mhm.
Changed my life. Ended up linking up with like the Kubernetes co-creators, startup, The Dream. Got the exit, got acquired by a huge company. You know, you're like open source forever, Linux. Woo. And I remember like you get bought by a big company, you come in, they're like, let's onboard you into Outlook. I'm like, oh no. So you know, you kind of go through the big things, but you learn a lot of things in those big enterprises, the challenges they have to do and all that kind of stuff, because the entire world, as you have seen, the entire world runs on Linux. So as I started to realize the patterns of success that I learned in cloud,
Yeah.
you know, I wanted to bring those to the desktop. And I did an analysis after a famous YouTuber broke the operating system very publicly.
Oh.
Yeah, I went back and I looked through the data from Ask Ubuntu, and I was like, because at the time you could get the entire SQL dump from Ask Ubuntu. So I went through and I was like, how many of these questions, and I sorted it by traffic, how many of these questions are basically the distribution model just isn't working, right? And it's all like packages, and you do an upgrade, T-package reconfigure, like why does installing something remove your desktop? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
You know? So it dawned on me, this sounds like advanced common sense, right? Where a lot of the things that we're using on our we're using traditionally desktops are, you're expected to be a system administrator, right? Like I know Debian backwards and forwards, right? I can handle doing all those things and packages and stuff. Most people cannot, you know? And then you see things like Android exploding, you know, kind of doing the opposite of what traditional Linux are doing. So when Colin Walters at Red Hat told me about his plans for bootc, it was called RPM Molestry at the time, at a KubeCon in Detroit maybe 3 years ago. And I saw it and I was like, oh, that's it. You know, I want to be able to take that model.
Yeah.
Right. But I want the power of an actual Linux, right? Like, yeah, Android is pretty cool, you know, but I like my Linux apps. I like my terminal and stuff. And it's interesting. We're moving towards their model for reliability.
And they're moving.
Yeah, they're like announcing a new terminal for Android. I was like, okay, yeah. So I wanted to take that model with the lessons learned from this community and do something new. And no one was doing it. Ubuntu Core had been delayed, and it was my shot, you know?
Yeah.
So for a long time, uBlue was a fix-me script that you carry around with you. It's like install Silverblue. Everyone has one of these, right?
Yeah.
You install your distro, you run your little break me script sometimes.
Yeah.
And then whatever. But the problem with that, and this is a lesson I learned in Ubuntu, is you always had these community scripts, right? The problem is that you take that script and give it to 100 users. How many of them are going to break it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Some of them won't be on the internet.
Probably about 96 of them.
Right, exactly. And what Bootsy lets me do is do the fix me script, but you stamp out an image at the end. And that way you can guarantee that all the users have the same thing.
They just take the image and they're done.
And they're done. And that fundamentally changed everything. You know, it sounds like such a simple thing. So all of a sudden we're able to do things like Bazzite, where people tell me, they're like, Bazzite feels like a finished product.
Yeah.
Right? Versus, you know, a criticism I hear sometimes, they're like, what's wrong with taking Fedora and doing 75,000 steps? You know, once fix me script, now, you know, have 300 fix me scripts. What are your chances of success? Especially now when we have new users coming to Linux, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it very much is yeah, you're going to do your manual stuff, but also I want to set up users for success. So what we do is we try to distill the expertise from all of us doing systems engineering and bring that to the desktop, which I don't think anyone was doing before. So I was very excited, and I could tell by the contributors that's showing up. They were professionals, they're system administrators, So we like to say we're your desktop DevOps team. It's like my job is to make your desktop experience pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've said this term multiple times in this conversation so far, and we're literally at Cloud Native Con.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what Cloud Native is.
Yeah, because people come, they're like, "Oh man, is this the word you use?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I describe as Cloud Native, first of all, I didn't invent the term, but it describes the way that we build software, the way we build these communities. Like we have values. There's project over company.
Yeah.
We have a bias for action. If we see a broken thing, we fix it. We look at what the end state where we want to be, and then we know where we need to drive to get there. And it's an iterative process because that's how we build clusters. Because it doesn't work. You have to scale.
Yeah.
Because a cluster is just a big computer, except it's an entire data center. So you're forced to think about network and latency and APIs and open standards. And I wanted to bring that to the desktop. But if you're a desktop user, that makes no sense to me or to you, right? So what I tried to say is that's more of a developer pitch because that brings in the right kind of person that can build a better desktop.
Right.
Like I don't tell my dad, here's your new cloud native Linux desktop.
Yeah.
I don't even tell him it's Linux. I'm like, here's your new computer. And he's going to click and go to his website. And that covers 96% of the world.
Yeah.
And that's what we optimize for because the rest of us know how to computer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the...
So you're saying that cloud native is kind of like, in the sense of it was built for running infrastructure that powers the cloud.
Yeah.
And then taking that and putting it into this desktop approach.
Yeah, it's like the principles, right? Like we layer things. So in the traditional desktop model, it's the blob, I call it, right? It's like Ubuntu. You need a new text editor, but you have to upgrade the whole operating system every once in a while.
Yeah,
right? And
sometimes
it's like, man, dude, I just wanted to upgrade Vim.
Yeah.
But the only version I can get Vim is by upgrading the whole OS, right? And like we knew this in Ubuntu, right? So in cloud, everything is decoupled. You have the system and the apps are independent layers. In fact, there's like rules there where it says, this is the operating system and the applications are separate.
Right.
So when I upgrade my version of LibreOffice, it has nothing to do with what the distribution does. Right? It's whenever LibreOffice releases a new LibreOffice.
Right.
Compared to Ubuntu, right, where it's like, well, new LibreOffice, I guess I have to wait 6 months.
Yeah.
And back in those days, when you wanted to ship something new to users, you had to wait 6 months. And when Ubuntu came out, this was revolutionary.
Yeah.
It was like 6 months.
It used to be 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, and it was time-based. That was new.
Yeah.
So now, but in cloud, it's a very fast iteration, right? Yeah. It's like when I build this stuff, it's on the cluster, a test cluster, and I get the feedback right away. We call that the developer feedback loop, right? And the tighter and faster that is, you get better software, right? And we have the science to prove it. And I mean, this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that wasn't true, this is impossible, right?
Yeah.
So what I want to be able to unlock is bring that to the desktop where you have things like Flathub. I want, when the app developer has it, you want it. There's nothing more frustrating than reading, as an Ubuntu fan, reading OMG Ubuntu and being like, that is amazing. I got to wait 6 months. So what did we do in the meantime? PPAs, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic when they came out. And I remember when they came out.
Yeah.
Right now I got 2 problems. Right? Every 6 months, my computer breaks.
Yeah,
right?
And also the PPAs would be turned off on the updates.
Yeah, exactly. Now we got to deal with that. So like compared to your Android phone, which is just it reboots and I have it. You know? So I want to bring that, but I also don't want to tone down the experience, right? So like a Bluefin system is powerful. There's nothing I can't do on my Bluefin system that I can't do on any Linux.
Yeah.
It just gives me that nice seamless experience because, as I've said, different layer, we care about the workloads, right? If the cluster is running, the people who run the cluster, right? And that's like the operating system.
Right.
All I care about is the application or the app developers deploying fast on time. If they accidentally ship a bug, can they fix it? Can they roll back?
Yeah.
You know, and those kinds of things. And I wanted to have that on the desktop. And originally when I was talking to Colin, this is all server stuff, and you kind of know it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And look at rel image mode in the marketplace, right?
Right.
Like it's
Basically.
gangbusters, right? You know, I was like, well, why can't the desktop be like that? And no one was building it. So the more people came on board, it started to happen, especially since a lot of them do this kind of stuff. They're like, oh, I get it. It makes sense that it would be this way. So by targeting that audience, you know, that's what I was going to do, because these are all Mac people, and that frustrates me.
I 100% I agree, because
Yeah.
I was walking around, and the amount of Macs I saw, I was like, that's a lot. But I mean, I'm not saying like that's a problem. I was expecting that kind of thing. But it's more of like, it's just interesting to see that, because that, and for many ways, that also shows an opportunity to get more people who are like, oh, I want a Mac experience, but I want it on a Linux style.
Yeah.
And that would be, I mean, I've talked to many people here who have switched from that process.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to see their perspective, because the type of user that you would imagine these kind of platforms are for is, like, when I first heard of Universal Blue and the project Bluefin and Bazzite and all that stuff, I thought it was more like, this is really good for someone who, you know, you could give it to your parent or your grandparent, and it'd be really easy to just, like, you know, pass it off, and you don't have to worry about the support system, because it's you know, you don't have to worry about, like, oh, I got to log in and to update and all that process, because it's going to do like an image style. And then when I was here seeing all the different types of people who are using these kinds of things, it's
experts love it too.
Very technical people, engineers and stuff like that.
Yeah. What's very interesting is cloud native implies Linux.
Yeah.
All of these people are Linux experts. You know, they'll open a terminal and they will shred, and it's all the same things we talk about. Can't wait. What prompt is that? You know, is that what power line font you're using? You know, it's like the same thing we talk about.
Yeah.
And they deploy systems for hundreds of thousands of nodes at the same time. You know, running the world's infrastructure.
Right.
You know, and why are they all using Macs?
Yeah.
You know,
That's a
so
good question,
it's like, and in a way, it's like, why aren't we winning our own home turf? You see how passionate these people are about open source, just as much as we are.
Yeah.
Right? But also, they need to be able to open their laptop and log into the Wi-Fi every single time. Not it's mostly good.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be every single time.
That's
and
true.
we have to compete with a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I can say that out of everyone who I saw had a computer that wasn't a Mac, none of them had Arch stuff running. Like, it was all like just like Fedora, Ubuntu types of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, you know, this is not a tinkerer's thing.
Yeah.
And then maybe it is, but it's more like server-based kind of thing.
Yeah. And we do tinker.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes someone comes in, they're like, you know, I was off for a few weeks. I went back into Arch. You know, like they have their little, you know, I got 3 weeks to do a Homeland, so I went hardcore Linux. Yeah, and I tried to switch to Emacs again.
Yeah.
You know, like you have those little hobbies and your memes and your...
And then you switch right back when you go back.
Yeah, and then you go back and it's like Ubuntu. They don't even change the wallpaper.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you're like, oh, whatever.
I'm actually the same. I don't even care about the wallpaper anymore.
Really? Are they dinosaurs?
Well, I'm on Bazzite right now.
Oh, okay. So you're getting the purple?
Yeah, it's like the purple, like a gamer setup type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Kyle's living room.
Yeah, so I'm playing with a bunch of different. So I have an SSD that has Aurora, Bluefin, and Bazzite, and I brought Bazzite to the KubeCon. Because for my personal preference of KDE Plasma as my desktop. Bazzite and Aurora are both like really good options. For that. But the Bluefin, I really want to have like the Bluefin experience, but with KDE.
Yeah.
So I understand, but I mean, like, I'm including the dinosaurs. Like, I want the wallpapers, and I want
Yeah, we're working on that. So with
really?
the Homebrew stuff, we're moving a lot of the config into Userbase with Homebrew. So on my system, you could just Brew install Bazzite wallpapers.
Oh, nice.
So Brew has the equivalent. We'll talk about Homebrew next, I guess. The equivalent of PPAs are called taps. But the difference is, you don't break your computer because they're part of the user. They're in your home directory. So a lot of things in Linux you can do in your home directory instead of editing /user or whatever. There's no reason to be there. You know,
I mean, a lot of things are in the home directory anyway, and that's its entire purpose.
Yeah.
And putting the configs in there is already done. It's just done in a way that's not like, I guess, coherent, really.
Yeah.
Because there's like, there's the .local, there's the .config, there's the
XDG. Yeah.
There's so many things. So.
Yeah, so we're working on doing that, and the fonts and things like that. We're moving to Userspace because really your customization should be tied to your user.
Mm-hmm.
And so we could just keep the system clean.
And that way you have multiple users, they have multiple configurations.
Yeah. Well, other than Homebrew is hard-coded to UUID 1000, but implementation detail. And we do talk to them about that. Yeah, exactly. We can fix that. Yeah.
But earlier you were talking about how it's about the platform and the apps have a separation thing. So you're focusing more on making sure the apps are what people want, the updates that they want. And I actually have been in a project where I worked with an app, like we built an app for Linux, and I was working with that project. It doesn't exist anymore. We actually retired it like 2 years ago.
Oh, nice.
But I was running that project for over 10 years with me and the main developer. So I was more like the design guy, the community manager type guy.
Yeah.
And
well, every contribution counts.
Yeah. So it was actually a really fun thing to do. It was a download manager called UGet. And it's the letter U get, and
like U blue.
We actually did do the lowercase.
Was it?
U, G.
I hate that.
But we did that before the U block existed. Whatever.
Yeah. That's why I don't like U blue, because you see U block and you can't unsee it. So I have to say universal blue.
Yeah.
Because also I like to say universal because we're very much.
It's more important that they know what the U means there.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you ask me what UGet means, I don't know.
I think you get to download something.
I think so.
I think so.
But I mean, it's been 10 years since I asked him what it meant.
Yeah.
But it's URL get. Is what it used to be called. I remember
10 years, you don't remember the name?
It was originally, so there was like multiple versions. It's been a long time. I helped rebrand it, and it was like, what did we call it? Like, yeah. So that's what it meant.
Yeah.
Anyway, that project was really fun to do, and in that process, I learned some project management stuff related to dealing with different distributions and having your software in repos. Yeah. So our software was in every repo.
Yeah.
And some distros shipped it by default, which is cool. But there was like pretty much every mainstream distro had it in their repositories, whether it's in Universal with like Ubuntu, or if it's in like it was in Gentoo, it was in Arch, it was in everything.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did you have that grid of all the distros? You know, the green one?
Yeah.
Green and red, and they're always red, and we think this is a good idea.
They were not all red, but there were
enough red to be like, this is madness.
One red would irritate me.
Oh,
like infuriating. And there was I'm not going to say which distro, but there was a couple distros that were more often annoying than others.
Yeah.
And there was a couple that like one time there was a distro that orphaned the package and didn't tell us.
Yeah.
And then we had people from that distro using that distro contact and say, hey, this is not working. What's wrong? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Our latest version fixed that bug like 6-7 months ago.
Yeah.
And then they said, it looks like your project's not maintained anymore. And I went to find out, and I sent a message like, hey, what's going on? I actually submitted. I went back and looked. I had submitted the update while it was still being maintained.
Right.
And that person just bounced anyway.
Yeah.
And didn't even tell us or anything. Like, if you don't want to ship it, that's fine, but just let us know and we'll try to do something.
Yeah, but you have to do that over 30 distros.
Oh, it's worse.
And my first job at Canonical was literally like talking to, I would literally be the guy that did that.
Yeah.
Right? And then now these days it's like, here's a better idea.
Yeah.
Why don't you just do it and I'll handle this part.
Yeah.
And then you just handle your business.
So that's what I want to talk about is the Flatpak aspect.
Absolutely.
Because the Flatpak, as a person who has dealt with the making an app for the system, and there was an Ask Ubuntu question that was related to this, and I answered this in my perspective of like, as someone who did this and made software for different distributions and whatever, I hate the traditional method of packaging for different distributions, but also packing per version of that distribution.
Oh yeah. There's the that long tail where it's like, I don't have to do Ubuntu. I got to do the latest version of Ubuntu and the beta to be ready for the next one. I have to do the LTS.
And however many LTS are active.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you hit an active one. They're like, well, LTS is the most Ubuntu installs are LTS because that's where all the money is. So all the commercial ones are only going to support LTS.
Yeah. So you have at minimum 4 or 5 at any given time.
At any given time.
And that's just Ubuntu.
Yeah. And then don't forget all the flavors because they're not all the same.
That's true.
Right?
And there's also the remixes, which are also LTS based, but also sometimes they have a modification that you have to compensate for.
And then back then I would tell you the best way to do it is do it in Debian. And they're like, now I have to learn another distro. And then maybe in 2 years
but sometimes the packages in Debian would be different, would be named different.
Yeah.
So that you actually have to build a package different for Debian than you do for Ubuntu. And that was infuriating.
Which is madness.
Yeah.
It's just bad. You ever get a package from a Debian or Ubuntu and it's like version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but really is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're just like,
I was like,
I want to burn all that down. Now, I want to be clear. Sysadmins out there doing all that stuff. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about my laptop.
Yeah, just the experience, like for the developers who, like, if you're building this sort of stuff in your infrastructure stuff, like that's one thing. But users shouldn't have to deal with that kind of information of even a packager, like a person like me who's making software and releasing it out. It's understandable that I would have to learn that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But for the average user to know that that particular version is built for a different version of their distro, that is unnecessarily complicated.
It feels traditional distro. Sometimes it's like, here's what we're going to do. It's going to be file on your system. It's going to be a list of URLs. And you have to manage those. And if you mess it up, your computer might not boot that day. What? Yeah. So we're the total opposite. Now, I still deal with packages on it because you have to have software.
Yeah.
Right? But working at this layer up here, that's either a distro box or Homebrew or Flatpak or whatever. That's up to you. And that's something different that we also do is that distroless aspect. Is I don't want to learn distribution-specific tools. Right?
Yeah.
First of all, the professionals, you're going to learn everything. Everyone in that conference, I got to learn RPMs, devs, I got to do it all. Right? But your boss is going to come down. We're switching from this to this. So whether you like it or not, you're going to learn it. But you're paid to do that. They're professionals. You get training, all of that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I don't want to deal with that. In my world.
Yeah.
So what I encourage instead is what we call that distroless model, which is I'm going to just give you Podman. You can do Podman on Ubuntu. Right? You can do that on anywhere. You can run Docker anywhere.
Sure.
Flatpak, Flathub, run it anywhere. Homebrew, run it anywhere. So I don't like to do distribution stuff because I want you to learn the tools. I want you to learn that workload. I want you to learn Kubernetes. I want you to learn whatever you're into, right? You want to learn GIMP, learn GIMP.
Yeah.
And how you're getting GIMP used to be important. Right?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, that better be the latest version of GIMP or I'm not interested. Because you do read, it's great to be a Linux fan. There's nothing, in the early days, OMG Ubuntu would post a thing. It's like, I'm never going to get that thing.
Oh, yeah.
And now
it's
it's
cool.
like,
it will be cool, but right now I'm waiting.
Yeah, there's nothing better to go on Reddit and be like, new version of so-and-so.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, I launch it, I already have it. And that's so powerful. Yeah. And mobile and Android, they figured this out in 2008? So...
Pretty much.
Yeah. The model we shift is more towards letting app developers do the thing. Because we tried to do that in Ubuntu with Debs. The problem is that system packages and stuff, they root on your computer, you got post-installation scripts, and if that thing doesn't work, it breaks, all that stuff.
It's one of the things that I think is most important that people don't do. If I just want to kind of take a step back and unravel that one piece, because a lot of people talk about like Flatpak versus Deb versus RPMs and which one's better and all that sort of stuff. And they all have their place. And the packages for Debs and RPMs are great for like the infrastructure based level stuff, that sort of thing. But the important piece of what he talked about is Debs and RPMs. When you install them, you're giving full root access to anything that you're installing. Yeah. And that is a dangerous thing. It's like that is the fundamental structure how it's always been. Yeah. And everybody's talking about like, Linux is like super secure and all that sort of stuff. But when you install anything, it is giving full access to your system. And that is when Flatpak came out and when Snaps came out and stuff like that, I was like, finally we're addressing this huge problem.
You have to have sandbox applications.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to be like, no, keep things away, just pack it up and go home.
Yeah.
You're going to lose to everybody else, right? And here we are at 4%, right? So that, that's my justification. Look at the numbers. Be data driven. So it's interesting. It's like when you install the repo for Google Chrome, there's nothing stopping them from replacing your kernel. They're just pretty cool about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in that position.
Yeah. I mean, people think about it, it's like, oh, I'm just going to add a repo. It's like, yeah, but you're giving them whatever they want.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to be fine.
Yeah.
But if you install it, and the thing is, if you install a dev, it can also add its own repo. And it could be like a malicious repo. They could be like, hey, they're, for the moment when you first install it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Then later on, like in a month, they pull in another package that you're not going to look. Like, let's be honest. You go into the thing and says, here's all the packages that are updated.
If I know someone on Reddit will post about it, maybe I'll get lucky. Like, what?
Yeah.
No,
maybe if that's your system.
Let's just pull them all a little. And I mean, there's also drawbacks to that, right? Obviously, there's a lot of work to do with Flatpak and Flathub. But like I said earlier, you know where we want to be.
Yeah.
And if everyone says that's where we want to be, you're working towards that. So one of the things I love about Universal Blue is instead of doing distribution stuff, Tulip, like we help fix Flatpaks.
Yeah.
OBS. Remember you gave me your list of add-ons and we work on those.
Yeah, there was a plugin I specifically needed for my workflow.
Right.
And it was a very esoteric plugin and it doesn't matter what it is, but I was like, well, if you could get this to work, then I could fully use it. And then I think the next day it was fixed. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, what? That's all
fast.
It takes? Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty fast. Yeah, compared to it feels really fast, but that's how these people work.
Yeah.
And then you bring that.
But also the traditional Linux person in me is like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like in a day?
It breaks your brain. I bet. You also got to remember, I've been the ultimate Debian guy too.
Yeah.
Like it's part of my identity and stuff. And
at one point, I was the Ubuntu guy. I was the Arch guy.
Yeah.
I was the GNOME guy, the KDE guy. Like
you have your
things.
your arcs. It's like a TV series of your Linux career.
Yeah, it's like it's the era of what you're.
All right, you're doing your tiling window manager phase. I'll see you in 6 months.
I did that too. Did not take 6 months.
Yeah.
It lasted, I think, probably a month each. And I did like 3 or 4.
Yeah, and I'm so old, right? Like my thing was like Window Maker was my thing.
Yeah.
I ran OS2 in college. I've always been into alternate operating systems.
Yeah.
And
did you try Rat Poison?
I've tried that in the past, but I hung on to Enlightenment for a while because back in the day, you had the terminal with like the Star Galaxy in it. That was impossible on computer, like Windows people. And that would really blow them away because it actually looked, like Blade Runner. And I think back, I'm very keen on learn the tools that would like get you paid eventually. If you want to do this, right? Like I get it. If you're an enthusiast and you want to learn all this stuff on the side, absolutely do that.
It's fun. It is fun for sure.
Yeah. But as you get on, you're like, oh, I want to do this as my, there's a passion in open source. You saw a slice of the passion that you want to do.
The amount of people who are doing it is like a career here. Like for reference point, there's 9,000 people here for this conference.
9,200.
9,200. My bad. I undersold it. So the amount of people who are here in any tech conference that I've ever been to, this dwarfs it. Every one of them.
Like you could fit an entire Southern California Linux Expo in like one talk.
Yeah.
And I'm always wondering like if Desktop Linux was so as successful as the scale should be.
Yeah. I think we should get into that point.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm dedicated to it. Yeah.
I love the effort and the goal of and the mission of Universal Blue too.
Right. But when you are having fun, you can learn. Like what did I learn from Enlightenment? It was dot files. And I learned how to use VI.
Yeah.
Right, which is why I know. You know how to quit VI? Shift-ZZ.
I did never heard that one.
Yeah.
:WQ.
I know, but Shift-ZZ will just save and quit. It's the easiest third trick. Documentation, folks.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now the joke about how to exit Vim, everyone should know now.
Shift-ZZ.
So we were talking about the Flatpaks themselves, but we didn't really touch on Flathub.
Yeah.
And I think that is an important topic because of the fact that it's the central space for all the for all the Flatpaks. I mean,
yeah.
And there's a lot of people who are arguing about like, we like Flatpaks because we can have multiple hubs and multiple repos and stuff.
That's so Linux user.
Yeah.
They're like, what if someone succeeds and then they take over? It's like, well, why don't we just succeed first?
Yeah, how are we succeeding?
Yeah. We can
but also, if someone succeeds and it's the people who are making the format in the first, who cares?
Yeah.
Right? And it's the whole point of...
Do I have the latest version of GIMP? Yes, no.
Yeah.
Moving on.
But also, like, my favorite part about it is when that whole topic came up. It's like, we need a central repository for this, because how else do people find things? You know? We
get that in Bazaar a lot because we really only support Flathub, right? And people are like, well, what about multiple repositories and all that stuff? I was like, nobody. My dad is going to be like, yo, get in that alternate, Flatpak repo in for me.
Yeah. Most people do not know that there's more than one. Most people just think Flathub is the only one, that the technology even has more than one is almost unknown.
Right.
But let's talk about Bazaar, because you just mentioned that, and I think we need to talk.
Yeah, the cool story. I've never told this story. Actually, let's talk about this, because to me, so I follow our GNOME on Reddit, and Evo's posting updates and stuff, and it was like I made a new store, and it was Flatpak or Flathub only, Flatpak only, and I've always been frustrated with Linux App Store. It's like, I don't understand how everyone else got there except for us.
Yeah, we actually started it. We created the repository first.
Yeah.
But also we created the first store, like the software suite, the software. I forgot what it was called, but Ubuntu had one like 2012.
Yeah, Ubuntu Software Center. So I've worked on all of it. People tend to forget. I've worked on all of them. Zimian. Did Red Carpet back then. And so I've seen them all.
Yeah.
And one of the things is, again, conflating the big blob. Not only is it an app store, it's your system updater. I mean, it's trying to update my Bluetooth. Why is firmware in there? You know what I mean? Yeah. Meanwhile, we're like, Unix, one thing only, one tool for everyone. I was like, I don't know about shoving this thing. So Eva figured it out, and very low level. So it's like written in C. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Shouldn't it be written in Rust? We get more contributors. But like, she was using this library called libdex. It's very multi-threaded. Boom. Because it has one job: install, search, install, and upgrade Flatpaks. That's it. No package kit, no whatever. Because initially people are like, this thing is so amazing and fast. When are you going to support all these package formats? It's like, well, there's a reason it does that, is because we don't do anything like that. And then in our images, we handle that at the system level. It's transparent for you. Like, there is no, like, Bazaar's job is not to upgrade your operating system. That's ridiculous, right? In our model, that's a layer violation. So, and it was interesting, and I'm following it in Reddit and things like that. And as we started to collaborate with her, and it became clear to me that she was just making progress way faster than everybody else. So we shipped it. Bazzite shipped it, everything, and then we just got moving and iterated quickly. And then recently, GNOME designers have been helping out. You notice it had a weird UI at first, but I have a certain workflow. It's super type enter. Like you read a cool app on OMG Ubuntu, it's like super search enter, and I haven't.
Yeah.
Right? But some people are like, but I like categories, trending, popular, and stuff.
Yeah.
And it took a while, but we'll finally get there where Bazaar actually feels like the Flathub website put into an app.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. And one of the things I also wanted to do is all these app stores don't solve the actual problem, which is app developers need to get paid. We all want Linux to be successful. They need to do stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be, and it is very difficult for us to do like buying stuff, right? Yeah. So we started with like, put the donate button at the top, dude.
Yeah.
And be all about donations and things like that. Whereas, the older software that Bazaar replaces has like drop downs so you can pick your Flathub remote, and I'm like, a designer put work into this? What a disaster, but traditional Linux user, what if I do want that Flatpak from that remote that doesn't exist? Like what? So we focus on the streamline and the kind of bang, bang, bang.
Sure. Because
I want to incentivize you to install as many applications as possible. So our curated section, I want you to install every single one of those.
And what's really cool about the Bazaar layout is that I've noticed that the curated section is different per project. So like Bazzite has a different setup that Bluefin has. So
that's a file in Etsy and it's a list of Flatpaks. That's it.
Nice.
That's it. Etsy is writable. Immutables. Yeah.
So with Bazaar, like my favorite thing about it is that it's like the sequencing thing. You just say, I want to install this, and then it goes automatically. It just starts the process. When you click install, it starts installing. But then when you click another install, it just sets it up for the queue. And whenever it's
so fast, I miss it sometimes.
Yeah,
I gotta go and I get confused. I was like,
is
it possible to be too fast? So
it is kind of like, did it install? I'm not sure yet. But I think Bazaar is a really cool.
And as I use it, I started to find so many. So I'm an expert in Linux, and when you get new and trending up there, you see stuff, and I was like, how did I miss this app?
Yeah,
this is so amazing, right? Mm-hmm. And as a GNOME person, getting those libadwaita apps, and they're modern, and they all kind of fit together, you know. So like my job is to get you to install as many as possible. So that's why we also focus. I asked Eva to put in the download metrics, right? Because who's using this stuff?
That is very important.
And you got to put it up front.
Yeah, and the Flathub offers that information on the pages for every app.
So and what we don't do is we don't do work that has low payout. So everyone's like, where's the review system? Which is infrastructure in Flathub.
Yeah.
If you ever look at Flatpak reviews, they're like, this doesn't work in Ubuntu 18.04.
Yeah.
Because App Store's trying to support everything, you know, whereas mine, we only do Flat.
I don't think Flathub even has reviews, does it?
It does, but it's like a separate system. There'd be a bunch of work to do, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do this. Number of installs, show the chart. Let's work from there.
Yeah, I haven't seen, like, when I go to the Flathub, I don't remember ever seeing a review on the website.
Is it called ODRS or something? No, that's a ratings thing. I don't know.
I think maybe they're just working on it or something.
Yeah.
So, like, but you were talking about earlier about, like, being able to buy the stuff, and eventually that's going to be happening. Is this something, because I know the Flathub is working on that.
Yes.
Sort of, in a way. So I'm not sure, like, what their plan is, and they've talked about it.
Yeah.
So
I've been involved in those discussions. I'm a volunteer Flathub community manager. Yeah.
There you go. There's another list.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, just think about currencies.
Yeah.
We could roll it out, but it'd only work in the U.S. and Europe. You know, and then you got to account for currencies, taxes,
and exchanges.
Yeah, and then Flathub has to file in certain countries, regulation, compliance, all that kind of stuff, and you're just like, let's just put the donate button up there and let's see what happens.
Yeah,
you know?
That's a good way to start for sure.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because if you don't want to wait forever and to do like everything perfect, like, you know, a donate button might as well be there.
Yeah, because you want perfect to be the enemy of good.
Yeah.
You want to lead most bang for the buck.
Yeah,
because we're volunteers.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of stuff, but I feel like we need to, you know, talk about the other Universal Blue projects.
Yeah.
So Aurora and Bazzite are we'll talk about Aurora first because I think people know a lot about Bazzite anyway. So I want to give them a little bit, like, talk about Aurora because I think it's not as well known. Yeah, and I think it's a pretty cool project because it's obviously like KDE. So
so you're a KDE.
Yeah, I like KDE. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I like everything. I actually use everything, but I've been a fan of KDE since like 2014.
Okay.
So like this was a time when GNOME was in like this period of like brokenness. You know, like the 2011.
How dare you?
2011 to 2015-ish era of GNOME was like...
It's all a blur. Those were my Unity years. So it's like the blur.
Actually, Unity was good.
I worked on Unity.
Of course you did. He's there on the list, you know. But Unity, I think, was... I think it's actually a shame it's gone. You know?
Oh,
yeah. Because I feel like it's one of the best desktop... Like, at the time, I felt like it was the best. Yeah. But I still feel like it was...
Yeah. Well, there's less in there that I take to my images. You know what it is?
What's that?
Don't listen to Linux users.
There you go. Yeah. Because there was so many people. You know what the best part is that I was on a podcast, and the week after it was announced that it was going away, I was on a podcast with a guy who said that he was really sad that it went away because he had just finished posting a video about how he loved it because he never gave it a chance first time.
Yeah.
And then he heard all for years all about like it's terrible, and he never even bothered with it.
Yeah, and we botched it. It was shipped too early.
Yeah. In the
and,
2011 period of time,
Yeah.
yes, there was some problems. I think 2012 was actually pretty good for like
1204 was the first one that
1204.
I was like, no one's going to kill me on the internet.
Yeah, 1204 was good, and especially the 2D version of 1204. I was
cute.
I love
Yeah,
the 1204.
that should have been the right one, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every time I've talked to anybody from the era of the Unity stuff,
Yeah,
it's
less
always-
resources. The animations were better.
It looked
GPU
better.
accelerated. Like it had
Yeah.
everything.
It looks smoother,
Oh.
and the next version, 1210, it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
It's a bummer.
It was such a anyway.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
My dark period. Yeah.
Let's talk about Aurora.
Yeah. So Aurora, it started off as part of Bluefin, and
Mhm.
people wanted to do KDE. The thing with Bazzite is, sometimes you don't want all that gamer stuff.
Yeah.
And we are more, Bluefin especially is a little bit more conservative than Bazzite. Like I ship a slower kernel. I follow a CoreOS release cycle instead of the Fedora one.
Yeah.
Things like that. And I was heavily investing at the time in the DX edition, and Bazzite didn't have that at the time. So that was drawing this crowd.
Yeah.
So eventually we were actually running KDE out of the Bluefin repo. And this became problematic because I'm not running KDE. I'm not going to buy another computer to
Yeah.
test it. So we made the uncomfortable decision where we just kicked it out into its own repo. And I'm very much either lives or it dies, right? The dinosaurs are there for a reason, right? It's like either people will step up
Yeah.
or it will die,
Yeah.
And it was nervous. Like we talked about it as part of the core team and things like
Yeah.
that. You know what happened? A bunch of people showed up and we doubled our core team, right? Actually, the Aurora folks this cycle maintained Bluefin way more than me. So what's interesting, it's a new product, but all we did was split repos,
Yeah.
right? But for us, again, we're the operating system people. We don't get as religious about like the desktops and stuff as other people. Like I don't care what shell you use. I don't care what desktop you use. I care you upload a Flatpak and our number goes up.
Yeah.
So however we do that, whatever makes you happy.
Exactly.
That's
That's how it should be, really.
Yeah. And I'm never trying to, hey, you should switch to this, you should switch to that.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm like, you know what? That's less support for me. So whatever.
It's funny. The majority, if you look at my content, and I've been making content for like almost 10 years or so, like 9-ish or something like that.
Yeah.
And the amount of times I've talked about what I personally use
Yeah.
is less than like maybe 2 videos.
Yeah.
It's very rare that I talk about mine. So like I feel like I'm realizing like me telling my KDE thing, like I've been using it for like over 10 years.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever. I've talked about it on podcasts, but I never dedicated a video like this is what I use.
My personal setup.
Yeah, and why you should
I would actually be interested in that. My personal setup.
Yeah, I should make something like that.
Yeah.
Or like just how I make the content
How I
stuff.
Bluefin.
But like, yeah.
Yeah.
But like the main thing I'm saying is that I've never really done it because my principles are what I use does not matter to the person I'm giving recommendations to.
Yeah.
So like when someone says, "Hey, what should I use?" I ask what they want it for, what their hardware is like, what their needs are, and then I base my recommendation on that. And it has absolutely nothing to do with what I want.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like a lot of people in the Linux space, kind of the community in general, kind of push what they prefer rather than what is good for the person they're talking to.
Yeah.
And
like, my mom was not going to dig Arch, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas in this community, I don't know if you picked this is that cloud native thing. Right?
Yeah.
Every time I point back there, it's like this is what I mean by cloud native is you want to be on the golden path. And as a system administrator, what tools do I want to use? The same thing everyone else is using. Because if you're in edge case and things go bad, they always do, right? You want to be with the largest group of people possible to get that success, right?
Yeah.
So in a lot of these talks, it's like, what's everyone else doing? Like my entire job is to document how all these organizations use Kubernetes and Argo and OpenTelemetry and all of these kinds of things, so that when another huge company shows up, it's like, here you go. Because in this space, making that mistake, they're making infrastructure decisions that a decade, millions and millions of dollars could be wasted in, people's livelihoods and stuff like that. So they do that due diligence. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's why I try to pick things that are default and more sustainable. So sometimes people want something in Bluefin. This is the hardest part about being an open source maintainer, saying no. Right. Yeah. Because everyone wants their thing. And I remember I did it in my earlier years. Right. We need to switch from Rhythmbots to Banshee or we're never going to get people to switch. What? Now I look back. And,
Yeah.
you know, I should just be happy I have 2 great music players.
Yeah, Banshee was cool.
I love
but,
Banshee. Yeah.
But at the same time, like I get it. Like there's it also there. I remember being part of some discussions like that. Like, you know, this should be the default.
Yeah.
Like, and why is this not the default? And
People ask me, you should switch. I was like, yeah, go in Bazaar, click what you want.
Yeah.
You know, but we all want to be that product designer. No. If we switch this, Bluefin would be perfect. And I was like, you know what's also perfect? Not messing with it. Because you always break you always break somebody, that spacebar heater, XKCD, you know, so you try not to make many changes, but when we do make changes, I almost always prefer the maintenance cost. And I think that's the value that I give my users is like, look, I take into account whether something's maintained and all that stuff, because I want to tell you that this is very easy to maintain because you're making a decision to go with me. You know? So that's different, especially when you read about all the maintainer burnout, problems with open Kubernetes, all these. Well, that conference has the same problems we have at the Linux desktop. However, the Linux desktop is an even more resource constrained environment, right? Even less amount of developers. Right? So we got to be way more careful about the decisions that we make. You know, so like when I started Bluefin, I was like, no X. Yeah, we know the greenfield deployment. If you want X, you should have worked on it. Not my problem. Right? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So we call that a greenfield deployment because you don't want to, you know, this is a transition. Because Bootsy, you have to do a reinstall. So it's like, well, you might as well get Wayland, Flathub, get it all out of the way at once. And that's what I wanted to do, and that's how we ended up that way. But going back to Aurora, is one of the interesting things is we ship apps based on their features. So they decided to ship some GTK apps. Bazaar was the first one, right? And I love reading the Reddit comments. They're like, madness.
Why is it not discovered?
Whatever. And like, but normal they don't care, right? Like
so most people just like, oh, I install stuff, cool.
Well, I got the latest version of GIMP.
I don't care what the store looks like or if the store, like, all I care is if the store works and that gets out of the way. Because that's the whole point of a store. Give me the thing that I want and then let me use the thing that I want.
Right. And we want to grow contributors, right? So I'm like, okay, well, cool. Someone's going to make a KDE version of the thing, or someone should fix up Discover. We ship Distro Shelf, which is like a GTK distro box thing. And then eventually someone made one called Container. Starts with a K. There's actually 2 of them, dude. You know, so they're like, someone's going to work on that, right? So if you actually care about the pixel perfect must match your toolkit, prove it. You know?
I feel like that it's also a very interesting topic. Maybe we don't go into it that too deep. But I feel like that topic of like the theme must match every app and it needs to be.
Good luck with that.
First of all, that's a very hard thing to do because the different toolkits and all that sort of stuff. But more importantly, most people have gotten to the point where, especially if they're Windows like converts and they're coming from the Windows platform, they've been trained to expect everything to be different and custom.
They're all Electron.
Custom branded, ugly garbage too sometimes. So like they're expecting it to be that sort of thing. And then they see like, oh, I could have it all super themed, and it feels like it's a reverse. Like we're trying to, we're hurting ourselves by trying to make this happen. And I feel like the majority of the time, as long as it looks good, doesn't matter that it blends with the right color shade of the rest of the windows.
And I'm like, that's user space. That's your problem.
Well, basically. But I feel like it's not that big of a deal overall. But so we're talking about the Universal Blue stuff, and you were mentioning how like the cloud native community is all about like working together to get things to get better and better, because that way, 1, it's more efficient, and 2, it's cheaper to do.
Always. It's all about the money, man.
Right? But so like Universal Blue is kind of that mentality to the desktop, right? So like that's what Aurora is part of Universal Blue. Project Bluefin, Bazzite, and many others. So like how many are part of Universal Blue? Like how many?
So I'm actually debranding, and this is, you know,
I mean, in the sense of like the Universal Blue, I'm not talking like Universal Blue as a brand, I'm more of like a collective effort, because the whole idea of the collective effort, I feel like if people know that they can, participate and help with the other projects too.
Yeah.
I think that would be a positive aspect of it as well.
Yeah. So we have the three, right? I've always been like, prove to me people want this, because in the early days they're like, not going to use them to add every window manager. You know what we did? We made a bunch. You know what we found out? People use GNOME and KDE, and then it drops off from there.
Yeah.
So we basically say, all right, well, as the technology matured and now that it's bootstrap sort of our PMOS tree, it's relatively simple to create your own.
Yeah.
So people always ask me, where's the cosmic version of Bluefin? I've had one running in my personal one.
Yeah.
And it's like 30 lines of bash.
Yeah.
Right?
I've seen a few people who are working on their own version of like that kind of
thing. And I think this is a cultural issue. Actually, we talk about this a lot, is you sit in a room and you see 30 people struggling, all trying to make their own cosmic image or whatever, and then you'll get the feedback there, this is too hard. If you paint outside the lines, these aren't usable, and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, did you all consider just working together? Yeah. And that's all I did, Yeah. So, but in my perspective, that's the people either want it or they don't. I always say the reason we don't make a cosmic image is prove to me that people want it. But there's also practical considerations. I don't want the universal blue way, like the U blue way. Like, I hate that. These are just Docker files, man. Like, they've been around since 2015. There's just a kernel in there now, and your dinosaurs or your Bazzite artwork. So I more want to encourage people to make their own, but I redefault the Kubernetes. We're the Borg, right? So like it isn't, and all my customization is in Userspace. Yeah. So I very highly customize my stuff, but the value in that base image is to get that golden path, that default. That so when someone reports a bug, I know what's in there. I can't.
That is a big difference.
It is the only difference, because now I don't have to build an Ask Ubuntu for Blue. That would be nuts. Why would I do that?
Because then you also have to source that out, get everybody to do
that. And I'm like, what's got great documentation? Distrobox. Go read it. Yeah. Go read the Podman docs or whatever. Yeah. Whereas a distribution is used to giving you the full experience. Yeah. And my value is the full experience is not me. Yeah. I'm the quest giver in this game.
Here's the sword, you'll need it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Come back when you finish the starter dungeon. So we use these gamer terms a lot, especially with the Bazzite users, because there's like 25,000 people in the Discord. A lot of them, it's their first Linux.
Yeah, but a lot of people are using. I've seen a lot of people who are switching to Linux, and their focus is one of the three of the Universal Blue stuff, like the Bluefin. I've seen Bluefin people, I've seen Bazzite people, and I've seen Aurora people, all of it being their first introduction to Linux. And I feel like that is like fantastic, and it's fascinating because there's been efforts to do similar kinds of like projects that are like this, but you never see like the mainstream people hearing about them. So it's really cool to see all this stuff happening.
Yeah, because we have this weird thing where it's also for new users. Experts, clearly, Bazzite is developed on Bazzite. Like, we dog food all our own stuff, but you have that middle set of Linux users who are like, they know Debian packages and all this kind of thing in there, and they're like, this thing feels weird. And I'm like, well, you probably have an Android phone. It's a problem. So
I mean, it's an interesting perspective, because when I first played with it, I was like, man, it feels like it's kind of limiting. And then after about using it like a week, I was like, I'm actually okay with it being limiting, because I don't really want to deal with this stuff.
I wouldn't call it limited at all.
I mean in the sense of like
scoped.
There you go. Scoped. Yeah. But I mean limited in the sense of like I wanted to change a certain stuff. Yeah. But then I really don't care that much. So let's talk about myths. There's a lot of myths around image mode stuff. There's a lot of myths around the just even like the term of what you do in these kinds of projects. Yeah. So let's talk about the first one. Is the immutability aspect, or the immutable distro, and how there is no such thing as any distro that's. I mean, I guess technically, if you get an appliance-based system that you can't touch at all, that would count as immutable.
Yeah, but they don't have keyboards anyway, so what do you care?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think there's certain immutable properties, but there's also the composability and all that kind of stuff. So using just one term to describe them is weird, and also this is a cloud native thing. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's nothing like whatever people think is. people trying to classify the new thing in the old words, right? So
Yeah.
we don't say pseudoable distros either.
Yeah.
That's a choice.
Yeah.
That's a fake thing or whatever. And I grew up with read-only user in Solaris days. Not only was it read-only, it was over the network.
Mm-hmm.
So, and back in those days, it was more disciplined. And so I was talking before, that move to that big blob, it became problematic, which is why we've got those layers to kind of ensure that they can move at a different rate. System moves at the speed of the operating system, and the
Right.
apps move as fast as they can.
Another myth that I feel like we should talk about is kind of like the distro aspect of it and the
Yeah.
non-distro aspect of it, because like basically it's a very different way than most people look at it as a distro.
Yeah.
So how is it different than a traditional style?
Yeah. Why do you care about distros?
Because,
care about your applications.
Because I'm told to.
Yeah, you care about your applications and the version of Linux kernel,
Yeah.
systemd and a container runtime, and all that stuff. Right. A traditional Linux distribution is a list of packages and a list of versions. And that combination used to be very hard to make, and that's the magic of a Linux distribution.
Right.
But like, what if you could just have them all, and it's one big Git tree? So we can get kernels from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can get our software from anywhere. We choose to use Flathub, whatever. So really, for us, it's more of the distribution isn't a product.
Mm-hmm.
Bluefin is a product, right? But it is a combination of actually multiple distros:
Yeah.
Homebrew, Flathub, and Fedora,
Yeah.
or GNOME OS, or whatever it is, right? So technically, I'm shipping 3 distros, but it's an importance of recognizing your role in that distribution. In the old ways, it was like you got everything from your distribution, and they were the gatekeeper, right? I don't want that. I want what the app developer wants, and I want a good kernel,
Yeah.
and I want it to boot, and that's it. So it's more of a mindset,
Yeah.
an idea, because technically, my coworkers say this. Yeah, it's a distribution, but it's the role that you're recognizing that part is not part of the product,
Right.
right? The part of the product is that you get the latest version of GIMP,
Yeah.
right? And that's not even my responsibility, right? My responsibility is to enforce those layers and those scope,
Right.
yeah, and then just give you the base image.
So let's talk about the base image aspects of it. Let's say I wanted to customize, I wanted to like do something on top of it and like change a little bit of like the overlay style and something like that. Is that something that's available?
Yeah, so people can do, you can do your own custom image. And for, people who go to this conference, easy skill. Millions of people know how to do this, right? Like 15.6, actually, according to our survey data that we have, million cloud data developers. So there's millions of people that know how to do this.
That is a lot of people.
Yes, yeah. And
That's a number that you would imagine would be users, but not developers at the end.
right,
Yeah.
right. And what we want is for them to help us make this. Actually, the first version of Bluefin, the guy was on a Mac the whole time,
Yeah.
right? But he was able to contribute because it's the same as this stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to take the power of that development in order to ship it for people like us.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where
That's the.
that's it.
I think it's good. It also is. It's something that I feel like is a lot of. There's a lot of potential to that because you can make it.
Yeah.
When I first heard of this whole system, the whole process, like the community of Universal Blue and the project Bluefin and also Bazzite, it was always I was thinking like, oh, this is cool because I can give my mom or I could give it like a grandparent access to use a system that doesn't require learning all about this whole new system.
You know what your mom and her mom's first Linux book.
Yeah.
What?
Like, why do you need to, like, she doesn't need to know the terminal.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know that it exists.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to know that it exists.
Yeah.
But she does know she uses Linux because I talk about Linux. She knows that I have a YouTube channel, so she knows.
Yeah. She's like, my son talks about it.
Yeah, exactly. So she knows that it exists and everything, but she doesn't know. She doesn't need to know.
And that's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't want her to deal with all that stuff. I just want her to use the system and it do what she wants it to do.
Yeah.
And this is, and the biggest factor is that back in the day, she actually has been using Linux for a very long time.
Yeah.
But I was also the person who was maintaining it.
Yeah.
And every couple of years, because I would do the LTS or whatever. So every couple of years, I would give her access to it. and I would give her like updates and stuff, but that would require me to remote in or go over to her house and fix it and manually get it all set up. And now with like the image mode stuff, it's just submit update and package it.
And to go back to the local layering stuff, I think we get this with some users sometimes. They're like, I want all this awesomeness, but I want to install all these RPMs. And it's like, well, the reason it's awesome is because we got rid of that stuff. You know? So that's our trick is to try to find the base image that serves the most amount of people, right? And I tell people, look, if you want to mangle packages all day long, keep your distribution. Because we purposely are trying to move away from that. And I say the project is a forcing function sometimes, right? It's like, my job is to make you go complain to people, hey, do a Flatpak or whatever. Right. Well, not complain, but like encourage that. Yeah. The way we do it is we have people like Tulip, she's like, I will even help you with your Flatpak. Give them that red carpet experience and hope that they will publish on Flathub. Right. And that's way better than be like, Linux is awesome. Devs, RPM, look at all the work you're going to have to do, probably by hand.
That's true.
No thanks.
I've actually had conversations with companies of like trying to get them to, use, I feel like this is a great transition point of, like some people want particular software on their platform on Linux. And I also want a lot of the software to be ported to Linux and stuff like that. But when I'm talking to them, they usually say like, hey, how many users do you have? What a percentage of like, what is the ROI on this whole situation?
They're like, you're in luck. We don't count on purpose.
We don't know. And there's a lot of projects who refuse to do it.
I put in the chart. We make the chart as big and as colorful as possible.
Exactly. Because the whole thing is that these companies, like they are companies. You have to give them incentive. You have to give them the information. And if we refuse to give them the information, it's like ignoring the economics of like, why would they make us software if we can't tell them a reason to make us software?
It's like, because Linux is the right thing to do. They're like, I've never heard of this thing.
So
one thing I learned from Alan Pope, we worked at Canonical together, and he would do snap advocacy with that, to do exactly that.
I know Pope. He's been on the show.
And he said something to me. He was like, I was talking to a very large vendor or whatever, and he said, Linux users are 1% of my user base. You have 1% of my attention. You had to go. I was like,
that's
you
harsh.
open the meeting that way, but it's also good to be able to see those numbers, and that's why in Bazaar we're very, I'm very keen on always like show the charts, show the number of installs. You should be able to say what a number is. Knowing that our job is to grow it, which is why Bazaar, install your apps.
Yeah, that's awesome. And also, let's talk about Bazaar real quick. I feel like Bazaar is a really interesting and compelling store system because it's. For those who don't know, it is exclusively Flatpaks.
Flathub even.
Exclusively Flathub.
We have no choice but to hide all that other stuff.
Because
welcome to Linux. You're supposed to manage all these URLs.
Figure out this.
Do you think my mom is going to be like, George, can you add the GNOME nightly Flathub for me?
Or what about the remote for this thing? I need this Flatpak remote. Like, why have you even heard of that term? Like the fact that first of all, it's called a remote, and why? Why is it called remote? Like we already have repository as a term. Anyway, but you only need one. And you need a universal one because
centralization is actually very useful for adoption.
Yes.
You have to do it.
Centralization is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to you want people to adopt a format that is using software. You need the developers to adopt it. You need the users to adopt it so the developers will adopt it and vice versa. So a centralized store makes sense. In the very beginning of Flatpaks, there was this anti-effort of no, we can't have a central store. And then 2 years later, Flathub comes out. Flathub comes out 2 years later, and I was like, finally. Finally, they get it. And
here's a metric.
It's perfect.
Listen to what users have been telling us for 30 years. Right? My metric is 4% market share. Ding. Awesome.
So, and here's the funny story is we know that there are millions of users. And because we know and to some degree, like Ubuntu has like 1 million, but we don't know if that's servers or desktops. There's just the
It's
metric.
all the cloud images.
Yeah. So like it's kind of like this thing where like we know there's a ton of people, but anytime a company, we try to get a company to do something, we ask them, they're like, show us, prove it, and we only know it in like an anecdotal way.
Yeah.
We have no data to prove it.
I was on Reddit and someone installed it 3 times for their ants.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So that means it's millions.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is likely millions even on the desktop, but we can't just prove it. So I feel like I love the fact that Bazzite and Bluefin and all the Universal Blue stuff has the effort of putting in the metrics, because we can actually show the growth of it and the speed of the growth and all that stuff.
This was important for us in Aurora and Bluefin. We switched to Bazaar Flatpak instead of having it on the image, because that all helps Bazaar.
Yeah.
And we can kind of count.
Yeah.
If you see that chart going, you're like, well, we know at least some of that is us. And Bazzite is still with it on the system, but anyone can customize it with their curated section. It's just a file in Etsy, which you can write to Mythbusting all night long.
But also, like, I just think that it's important to, whether it's on the image or not, I think that the Bazaar being involved in it is a really cool thing, because it makes it so that the metrics are on the applications themselves. And it's like, because if you having the Flatpaks separate on a different remote or whatever means that
it's solving a problem we don't have.
Yeah.
That everybody hates.
Yeah,
but we're Linux users, so it's like, no, must be a file of, what happens if it's successful? What are we going to do? An evil Flathub tries to take over?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, that's not. Sure.
But we're talking about Bazzite, so let's talk about that for a second. I think Bazzite is a fantastic. I use it. I use all of them, but I use that one probably the most, because I am a gamer.
Yeah.
Technically I play one game, but whatever.
Which game?
Rocket League.
Oh.
Yeah.
I used to play that with my kid.
Yeah. I play it way too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't played it in a while, but for about 10 years I played it.
Yeah, I played it for a long time. I played it on the original Steam machine. I had it, and they just announced the new ones.
Oh, well,
I'm going to buy one immediately.
Yeah, of course.
I have Bazzite on my HTPC, which is my my system, on my home theater. I built my own home theater, and it's amazing. And on my Steam Deck is stock, because I don't care about operating systems.
My Steam Deck is also stock.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever, it works.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point of having a appliance product. Where I don't need a customer.
Right, but with Bazzite, you get that other things that you get.
Like, whereas like with the Legion Go or whatever, you can replace the with the Windows nonsense that comes with it. The worst possible experience that you put in it, and you can put Bazzite on there, and then you can do that for basically like the Asus, like the ROG Ally kind of thing, and all that stuff.
And the things that Anthony tells us the stuff he has to do. He's like, I got everything working except like the RGB lights, and you're like, oh man, it's like, then it's crazy the stuff that you have to do, and the fact that they could pull it off. With very little manufacturer support. I mean, they do send devices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some OEMs do Linux better than others. Right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Where do you get your firmware updates? If it's on the LVFS, good vendor. If not, right? So, yeah.
But I think that Bazzite is pretty cool, because it's also given me like an easy access into the image mode based, but still having all the games. But I think it's a big factor of the growth of the Linux market, because like the Linux market has been growing recently pretty good. Yeah. But if you look at all the YouTubers who are talking about not the Linux YouTubers, but like the regular tech YouTubers who are now kind of dabbling into Linux. Yeah. Most of the time it's Bazzite that they're looking at.
Oh man, what, Bazzite on Digital Foundry?
Yeah.
Man.
That's very cool.
Talk about pressure.
And also, there's Gamers Nexus that's also doing.
That benchmarking stuff. I would love to see that. All that stuff. I want to see as many YouTubers benchmarking that stuff. I would love to have open This whole thing was built on open standards, right? What if we had a way where we could have a device that you could just run benchmarks on it over and over again and submit it? We collect it all and we give it to kernel developers. What could we unlock then? because with this Bootsy model, we can make test images, instrumented images. We can do you ever see an F1 car and they have that weird paint and stuff sticking out because they're measuring stuff? I want to do that.
Yeah.
But with like my Linux, so that the people that want to do, I want to make it so a contributor could just say, I want to contribute, click.
Yeah.
Instead of learn Git. No, thanks.
But that would be awesome. And I also think that's another important part of like the whole concept of the metrics and how important it is. The more data you have, the more you can actually make decisions based on that data.
Yeah, and there's entire projects here, open telemetry, right?
Yeah.
It's a distributed system, so it's like an entire data center.
Yeah.
So you have to observe it in order to measure something to get performance, because that has real world costs. That 1% across an entire data center improvements.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
So but you have to measure, and we're missing that in the Linux desktop.
Yeah, and also on purpose.
Yeah,
which I don't get.
I don't understand.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah. Stop it.
That's where we're like, our branding is very, like, I almost purposely brand something that like 1990s Linux guy hates, right? Like, there's no packet. Everything you love about Linux, it's like, actually, wait, I hate all of those things.
Yeah.
And so we purposely do a greenfield deployment where it's like, you ever want Linux without any of the things that you hate about Linux? Right? You're going to find a whole bunch of new things to hate, but at least it's different.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years. Why am I still hating apt?
Yeah.
So, and you're still doing all those things, just not on the host. You're scoping things, you get that layered approach, because you manage lifecycle stuff. The kernel and your applications move at a different pace.
Yeah.
Each of the individual application authors will choose when to publish.
Yeah, of course.
Right, and the kernel is a known.
Yeah.
Like, you could follow.
It's not like we need to wait 6 months between different releases, or 2 years between different.
Yeah, because it's just a Git tag, and you can ship anything in that tree. It's a feedback. Yeah. Right. So
when I was doing project management for an app, like, I learned the hard way, the traditional style. When I was a user for, 10 years prior to actually becoming like part of that community of building stuff for Linux, I thought it was like, oh, it's great. This is, who cares? I get my applications. I can wait a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you get on that other side and you start building stuff and you start interacting with the distributions and the maintainers and the packaging and stuff like that, I learned just how irritating.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, we're so... it's too cynical to say, like, we hate app developers, but we ask them to do, like, anything, and then you find out that all their users have fixed all that stuff, but it's stuck in this version forever, and everyone says this is good.
Yeah.
Madness.
And also they tell me that I don't know better than them for the application I'm writing.
Yeah.
That blew my mind.
Surprise, packaging was solved a very long time ago. LLMs are doing packaging now. It's automated.
Yeah.
You know what it is? A list of dependencies. Yeah, there's tricks up. Look, kernel packaging is, of course, complicated. Right? Mm-hmm. Like your little app, it should be fine.
Yeah.
And this whole idea that better than the app developer, we take a different approach. Right? Yeah. I'm here to empower you.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the pipeline, and then you do it. And if you break it, that's on you, because that's also your reputation. This whole idea that it's like, I saved my users from things by gatekeeping you.
Yeah.
I don't do, unless I have to, when I have to gate the kernel.
Yeah.
But we do that based on user feedback.
And also, but that kind of thing, that's like a fundamental baseline thing. I think that makes sense to kind of gatekeep those sort of things.
Yeah.
It's more of like my application was just a download manager. It's not like it's going to be a critical component for people's workflows.
Yeah, airplane isn't going to fall on us.
Yeah. And to me, this project was like, it was really cool when I got into it and stuff. And then I started getting really irritated by dealing with all the different maintainers. Yeah. And I'm not saying that any of them are bad people. It's just the infrastructure is so annoying.
It's so inefficient. And I think, a lot of these systems, it was still early days of the internet.
Yeah.
So like you're kind of, it's 2025, right? And it's like, yes, we could ship very fast. You break it, you fix it, but that means your next point release is here.
Yeah.
It could get there faster. And then we know what their actual solution is: better testing upstream.
Yeah.
Right?
And then they want us to do more testing as well, but we can't get it to the users for the testing because it's inside of the bank.
Yeah. It's like this.
it's a cycle of like just confusion.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like people want people want the distros that they use in the desktops that they use to be, they want them to be free and not have to worry about paying for it. But who's making it? It's not like they just do it for nothing, and like eventually they're going to burn out, or they're going to move on, or in general because they're going to get a job and it's like, oh, I'm just completely ignore this. Yeah. So if
I donate to the apps I use.
Yeah, exactly, same. And I donate to the desktops I use and stuff. Like if we as a community don't like kind of pivot into the sense of like, like there's the whole element of the anti-corporate aspect of the Linux community.
Yeah.
And the problem is the Linux community would not exist without all the corporations.
Yeah.
Like the whole value that the Linux platform has. I mean, we owe so much stuff to Red Hat. We owe stuff to SUSE. We owe stuff to Canonical. And we owe it to even things like unfortunately, Meta does do a lot of better FS stuff. So
Docusaurus, the docs I use, so good.
Yeah.
Meta open source.
Meta does actually a lot of cool stuff. They also do some other stuff, but they do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, but you can read the metrics on the contributions to Docusaurus, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Right. And we also have like so many other companies that are doing this, and it makes it so that if we look at the factor of like all the corporate impact, we actually benefit greatly. And if we just take the mentality of the corporate style, apply it to the desktop, we could grow it exponentially.
Yeah, so let me talk about that.
Yeah.
How we do it here.
Absolutely.
Because Red Hat gave me millions of dollars of engineering for free.
Yeah.
Right? So there is a relationship there.
Yeah.
Right? So, but we provide, a test bed for bootc. We found countless bugs that we've reported to Colin and his team. Fantastic working relationship where we're proving that enthusiasts matter. So I'm engaged with the Red Hat on the desktop. It just happens to be they're cloud people and not, what people usually think of the old days with the Red Hat desktop team, So we're engaging with a whole new level there, but because we do it the way we do it here, we do have the metrics, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy for us where we're able to ship patches and test branches and things like that for them. They take that data and go back, then go, oh, okay, we can merge. We now know that like this thing has shipped in Bazzite for 40,000 users for the past 3 days.
Yeah.
That's way better than like it's sitting in let's hope someone tests.
Yeah.
Get your Git bisect out and you're like, oh man, it's nicer to be able to rebase to a thing.
Yeah.
Or that controlled manner in which the Bazzite people laying things in the testing branch gives us that confidence to report back to upstream.
Yeah.
And that's very valuable to Red Hat. What I tell Colin all the time is like, we found a bug, better us than a bank.
Yeah.
Now can you give me these things? Exactly. But it's like a party, and it's that's how you drive the industry forward. And that's our goal.
And also, I mean, you touched on it just now, but I feel like we should like kind of pull on that thread about the testing, being able to take a system, and like if you've been in Linux long enough, you would know that the beta testing process is a very cumbersome thing.
Yeah.
Basically you have a whole other system that its sole purpose is to test, or you risk your system to start testing.
No, thank you.
But having to be able to, like what you're saying, like Bazzite would be like, be able to just turn on the testing branch, test it off, then test whatever you want, turn it back off, and have your system back to where it was, is awesome.
Yeah.
That's completely.
And you have a Discord server with 25,000 people.
Yeah.
You got to teach them how to do it. And that helps. And because it is kind of basically GitOps, we call it. You can ship any part of the Git branch. Mm-hmm. That lets you to infinitely scale that.
Yeah.
Now, knowing that you can also iterate a lot from Bazzite. Mm-hmm. And that here's a myth when people say, this isn't good for development. I was like, you crazy? Like, I'm literally proving it right. How many more numbers do I need to bring?
Yeah.
Yeah, 15.6 million?
Well, they don't really, they probably don't care about numbers anyway, because it's, it's a principle thing. But,
no one's counting me.
Yeah. All right, so I think we should talk about, like, how could people get involved? Because I know people are going to be watching this and be like, we want to use it, we want to be involved, maybe we can help with it. So like, how could people become like contributors?
You're contributing because you're being counted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Buy a Linux game.
Okay.
Donate to your favorite app.
I like that.
If you don't have the money, click through their GitHub or their GitLab, make an account. I don't care. Star it.
Yeah.
Because make developers feel good.
Yeah. Just say thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes a long way. File good bug reports, I guess. But there's also, you don't have to be an engineer, things like that. Sometimes people just chilling in Discord, helping people out, bringing good vibes.
Yeah.
Like with the memes that people make in our channels. Like they're just
like what?
It's part of the culture.
Like, give me an example.
Oh, another one. So the GNOME extensions one.
Oh.
So like, how GNOME extensions break, and like we mitigated a lot.
Every single release.
Yeah. But it's okay because I pick my extensions very carefully.
Yeah.
Right. And we're able to ship from Git branches now because we skip distro packaging because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. By the way, I like GNOME. I also just give them a little hard time because app indicators. Come on.
Yeah, but we solved that 5 years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, GNOME hasn't.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's just config.
Okay.
It's one of those things because people come in, they just want to argue, right? And
Yeah.
What about? I was like, well, if you're on one of my images, I forget things that people have to deal with, which is weird.
Yeah, this is more of like just kind of trolling GNOME a little bit.
Yeah.
Because there's some cool, like I really like what GNOME is doing, but at the same, like the overview. I mean, I'm a KDE guy. Yeah. I use the GNOME overview.
Super with Blur, baby.
Yeah, that's also awesome too.
Yeah. But like someone made a meme and it's like a wizard. And it's like ICAST extension failure. And it's like, GNOME being GNOME. And like we do these things. We make these in jokes. We have like the evil corporation is actually Blue Universal, led by CEO John Bazzite, or whatever. And we're like rebelling with him with the cone people. It gets crazy in here. But like, just participating in that aspect of community. Artwork, like Aurora finally has like its own visual identity with the artwork. Obviously I have the dinosaurs because I'm trying to tell a story about software and open source and things like that. And then Bazzite is the gamer stuff. We have a wallpaper where it's like a branded Bazzite Titanfall mech. That's cool, and someone made that. And when a community does that, you're building that culture of collaboration, and it's not just the nerd stuff because you're kind of you're finding your place in a project. Right, and there's things you can do, always writing documentation and things like that, or just pointing something out. Yeah, it's weird. Some people are like, I'm sorry that I have to ask this. I'm like, no, just ask. It's fine. Yeah, it's very scientific. It's great. Use the issue tracker. It's there for a reason.
Yeah. So I love that because your whole philosophy basically is like just if you want to contribute, all you got to do is just be there and be involved.
Yeah. I have a colleague, Amber Grainer. She says you don't have to ask for permission to take charge of your own destiny. Just do it. Yeah. Like I didn't ask permission to make any of this. Yeah. Right? You just go. And either you thrive or it'll die, and it depends on how many people want to hang out. Yeah. That's true. It sounds so simple though, right? Yeah. You're making a club and it's like, oh no, we have no idea what we're doing.
I feel like there's like a lot of potential for this, and I can't wait to see where it goes. Yeah. So I'm happy that you're starting this process because the idea of it, I've seen it, people talk about it for a very long time, but it never got to the point where it could be.
Yeah, we like to go under the radar. Yeah. Very much the going in the greenfield. I want us to pull away from that stuff and recognize that you can have a Linux without all the things that you hate about Linux. Right. Because there's lots to love about Linux. Yeah. And Android did a great job hiding all that crap. So like, why can't I have that? Yeah. It's
why
kind
can't
of
the desktop be that too?
Yeah. It's like you see this and you're like, if we know how mobile and cloud, catching up desktop there, it's a parity thing. Yeah. More than anything else, which is, are these the future or not? I was like, no, I'm just trying to get us to 2015 still, Yeah. Wait till the other decade we have to catch up. Now we got to take care of users. Now the hard part begins. Flathub, app developers, that local development story that I want to fix, like all the actual hard work has nothing to do with the Linux distro you pick. Yeah. It has to do with the ecosystems that you choose to participate in. Yeah. And that's a different vibe. Right.
For sure.
So, yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of potential here, and I want to see where it goes. But I think that there's also just the excitement is going to be it's going to continue to be exponential. Like the Bazzite's already proven that there's a market and people want that sort of thing.
Yeah, that thing's gonna drag me wherever I have to go. And man, dude, I've been trying to retire from this project for like 3 years. I finally did it. I'm like, emeritus, I'm out of here. See ya. You know, oh god, I gotta fix this thing. It's so annoying.
Nice.
The computers are awful. Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, I mean, basically every type of, even if you love technology,
Yeah.
you know, it's just like, what headache do you want to have?
Yeah. Like, I'm sure someone who works at Red Bull hates parts of that car. And you're like,
Yeah.
that's a technological marvel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that like I've had a lot of fun with this interview, but also like just being at KubeCon, Cloud Native Con, it's been like
Did
very
I expand?
Yes.
That's one of the reasons I reached out to you. Let's talk about this for a minute. I reached out to you is I've been a Linux enthusiast, right? And I'm fortunate enough to be a Linux Foundation employee.
Yeah.
Right? So like sometimes when I see people, I remember when Linux to me was, you know, that very consumer enthusiast driven. You had no idea this thing even existed.
No.
Right? So like it's our opportunity to.
Yeah,
that's why I approached you. You have to translate all this cloud gobbledygook coming out of my mouth. It is just, it's crazy, right? Whatever. And explain it in a way people understand, where it's look, your computer will run way better.
Yeah.
And also, you're already using the technology because the modern world wouldn't function without it.
Yeah, everybody uses it whether they know. But it's also like that's also true with just Linux in general. But I knew that KubeCon existed for many years.
Yeah.
But I didn't know like in what way it existed. Like I knew it was Kubernetes. I knew all that stuff. Yeah. And then coming here, but when on the way here, like I looked at some details of like previous versions, and I was like, well, this is a massive conference. Yeah. And when we got here, like it was like the first time going in, I thought, like this is this doesn't make sense to be that big and me not know that much about it.
Yeah, and 50% of the attendees are brand new, and it's been that way for 10 years. Can you imagine if every GNOME, KDE, Linux App Summit, all the developers there, 50% of them were new? We'd have flying cars.
Yeah.
And just, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
But this is what winning looks like, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a matter of finding the patterns of success. In what markets has Linux succeeded in?
Yeah.
Every single one except this one.
Except desktop.
But also, it was a monopoly situation to begin with, and so you started off whatever, but for people like us,
we still want to get it.
It infuriates me that this is the one we're not winning. You know, so I'm like, I've got a better idea. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. Yeah. You know, I'm just saying, copy what those people do.
Exactly. I mean, it's also like just taking like the good pieces and put them together and make something that's
because you can still express yourself. Mythbusting, right?
Yeah.
Like my stuff is very highly customized. I'm just doing it in Userspace with the confidence that my operating system is going to boot that. Like
that is important to have.
Please do, because I say this sometimes a Raptor just gets you. You know, like you get a regression in a Wi-Fi driver, or you know, maybe you got that new GPU a little bit too early. Sometimes the AMD takes a little bit to do whatever, but you notice each generation they're getting better at it. Yeah. Because you're investing in the process and all that stuff. And if we can help accelerate that, you know, the vendors that work with Linux the most should be the ones getting rewarded. Yeah. It leads to a healthy ecosystem. So that's what we want.
What I thought when I first went to when I first came into the conference, it was kind of like what I saw the footage of it. I was like, oh, this is so big that I don't even know if it's like physically walkable to the whole thing.
I got 20,000 steps a day.
Yeah, easily.
The entire time.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that. I feel like that's I feel like you could probably do more if you just wanted to hit every piece, and then if you try, you will not hit every piece.
And Europe is 20% bigger. We have one in India. We have one in Japan. We have KCDs all over the world. We have an entire user network. Mm-hmm. You know, again, thanks Red Hat for donating Bootsy everywhere. Now, you know, I can do meetups. Yeah. You know, and if you go as an enthusiast, we're not going to have Linux desktop meetups at KubeCon, but you could make it happen, you know, by participating and showing up. And if that gives you an avenue, if you're interested in this kind of career. Yeah. Right? I was shooting the breeze with Greg KH. Like, what? I saw Linus once, and I did the man nod because you don't want to bother him. He's busy. But like, just the ability to be exposed to this.
Yeah.
Like I worked on Ubuntu for 10 years, right? And I basically built my own dream version of Ubuntu.
Yeah.
With a handful of sysadmins, with picking the right technology, and then copy the patterns of success, right? Because you're not going to go to Best Buy and buy Bluefin anyway.
Yeah.
But the ability to ship something that competes as a product is absolutely there. And I think Bazzite is kind of the prototype of this next, I call it a generational leap.
Yeah.
This is the next generation Linux system.
All right, so I feel like this has been a fantastic experience. The conference, first of all, but also this interview. I mean, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been awesome, and I've learned a lot about the whole process and everything, and I hope you did too.
Yeah.
And let me know in the comments what you think about it, and if you want to try out Bazzite or
no distro wars in the comments.
Yes, agreed. But absolutely go check out whichever one you want to Project Bluefin, Aurora, Bazzite, whatever, and let us know what you think about it.
Yeah. And make your own.
Yeah, that too. That too.
Right.
So thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, Michael. This has been amazing. Rock and roll, y'all. Love you.
Yeah. See ya.